There's one thing I can promise you in this seminar tonight. The way you came in the door, right, you're going to leave a different person. I can promise you that, okay? The most important thing is how you feel. Some of you here for the first time, some of you come many times. There's a lot of people online too. It doesn't matter, right? Everything in life is about one thing. It's about the way you feel. Just think about it, right? As a kid, when you were 4 or 5 years of age, you didn't care if your hair was brushed, your teeth was brushed, you were out in the front, you were excited to get up in the morning, you ran out the door, nobody cared. But what happens to all of us as we go through life? Think about it, especially the older you get. We settle for the norm. So before I start the seminar, right, as we go on tonight, there'll be laughs, there'll be jokes, there'll be ups, there'll be downs, it'll be very emotional. Some people will cry, it doesn't matter, right? You're in a safe place, right? So with that, we get going. And as I said there, right, some of you here probably for the first time, some of you got asked to come by a friend. I was talking to one fella there a while ago, he came in the door, I didn't see him, my dad would know him since 2010. It's amazing the way this thing spreads, you know. And he goes, you don't know me at all. And then he mentioned that. Remember Pat Curran a long time ago, you know. It's a funny story, tell you the story after, you know. But it's amazing how the internet works and how things do a full circle, you know. I met this man many years ago in a different business altogether, you know. I walked away from that business a few years ago, so I came back home in 2019. But it's amazing how things go. So like, life's for fun. I ask you a question, like, and there was a study done in America about this. 19 out of 20 people were asked in America, why do you get up out of bed? Like 19 out of 20 didn't know when they were asked. Earl Nightingale did a full study on this. So I have a question for you right now. Like, and don't answer for yourself. Like, why are you here tonight? Why were you born? Some of us go through our whole lives, we never ask ourselves these questions. Why? Because when we get on with life, what happens? We get too busy, we get mortgages, we have kids. We forget about these simple things in life. We forget about things like gratitude. Ah, that's for somebody else, that's girl stuff. What's in gratitude? We're men's men, we don't talk about our feelings, we lock everything inside. And what happens then? You go through life, we get stuck in the head. We get stuck in the head. See, when you were a kid, you were free, you were happy, you were peaceful. You didn't know what resentment was. You didn't know what anger was. You were free. Just think about it. When Santi came into your life for the first time, sounds funny. But think about it. There's some kids here tonight, 8, 10 years of age. This is the best time to get this stuff. You know, you are free. But what happens as we get older, when we come to about 8 or 9 years of age, we develop something called an ego. Another name for ego is a false sense of self. And what happens? We start getting this voice in the head. And what happens as you get older, unless you deal with it, like the kids are here tonight will start dealing with it, you start listening to that voice in your head. And then let's say you did an argument with someone at 2 or 3 years of age. 10 minutes later you'll be talking to him. If you did an argument with somebody at 12 or 13 years of age, it might take 1 week. If you did an argument as an adult, you might never talk to him again. Why? Because the head's like a vice grips. Did you ever go to bed with a resentment? Someone done something wrong to you. You wake up in the morning, your head's like doing press-ups. Like, what did he say? Like I always give the analogy. You're going down Patrick Street. You see someone who done something wrong to you about 30 years ago. He might have pushed you in school. By the time you get to McCurtain Street, in your head, he's dead. Who do you think he is? Or yeah, his kids after are going to get all this rubbish in your head. But you know what? They're so funny, right? But all day we play these stories in our head. Like think of it, like we all have kids. Someone done something to your kid. Like I was only talking to one of the lads a while ago about soccer. I manage my own son in soccer there. We have a club, you know. Sometimes it can be the hardest job in the world to manage your own kicks he's playing, you know. But the politics in there, I remember years ago, you go to a soccer match. There'd be no parent turn up. Excuse me. My mum was the only person who's actually turned up. That's actually a true story. Remember years ago playing soccer, right? You go like, barely hardly no parents there and stuff like that, right? At the matches. Now you turn up on the match, there's 11 parents there, there's 12 parents there. You know what? It carries different problems and different challenges, you know. But you know, in life, right? What do we all do, right? Including myself, right? We can take it too serious. You know what I mean? Like think about, right? Life's about one thing, right? It's about energy. It's about managing energy. It's a game of energy. So when you get up in the morning, right? We all have the same currency. What's that currency? It's called time. We have that. It's called time. So when you get up in the morning, right? What happens most people, right? As you get older, right? We get up in the morning, right? You go downstairs, you're brushing your teeth. You're brushing your teeth. And in your mind, right? You can't wait to be in the car. Then you're in the car, you probably listen to box set or listen to YouTube. You're definitely listening to something because you definitely haven't got silence on. Then you're in the car, you can't wait to be in work. Then you're on work, you probably don't like the boss, or if you're the boss, you don't like the other person. You know, just watch the traits in people's heads here now, right? And then you're at lunchtime, you can't wait for lunchtime. Then at lunchtime, you can't wait to get home. Then you're at home, and your heads can't wait to watch the boxer. You put on one boxer before you know you're on about 10 episodes. But what I'm trying to say is, right, we're running away with ourselves, right? We're running away with life. And that's not your fault. When human beings first came into civilization many, many years ago, it wasn't like that. Like if you had a problem years ago, thousands of years ago, you deal with it once and you wait till tomorrow. But now if you have a problem, what happens is this ego, the false sense of self, is constantly playing stories in your head. It's constantly playing, the thoughts are constantly going. But the good news is, right, you are not that voice. Like my road that I went down was addiction. Everybody had a different journey, okay? But like when I was young, I come from the north side of the city, there was a lot of addiction in where I came from. You know, I grew up and the people I saw down that road, I went down that road myself. And what happened, I thought the only time I was happy when I had a substance in my body. That's why I thought peace was a substance. That's what I thought. You know, and I had many great times doing that, many great nights out doing that. Many inside town, we grew up in the 90s where it was the Henry's era, outside Bergland, having the buzz, having that. I thought that was life, all my friends were doing that. But every addiction starts with pleasure but finishes with pain. It doesn't matter if it's drink, it doesn't matter if it's food, it doesn't matter what it is. It starts off fun but it finishes with pain. And mine finished with pain as well. I knew nothing about this information. I knew nothing as a kid that you can change your thinking, you can change your thoughts. See, the most powerful thing that we have as human beings, we're creators. We have the ability to change our lives. We are the first species in the history of time to have the ability to create. We have a frontal lobe. And a lot of people go through life not understanding this. That's why I ran the book, had a whole book called The Secret. This stuff is around for thousands and thousands of years. And it's so simple, it passes us all by. So simple. So when I started getting sober for the first time in my life in 2004, I started going to a fellowship. And that fellowship started talking about things, and I started opening my mind to a lot of stuff about spirituality. I heard the word God, but you know what? I was in enough pain, I needed a resolution. And what happened then, in time I came across a book called The Power of Now. And The Power of Now started speaking about a voice in your head. I never heard about this voice before, I didn't even know what they were talking about. But I started hearing the book about the stories and the stories it gave me. But no, the most important thing is, I started learning how to relax the voice in my head. And I'm going to give you a few simple tools tonight, how you can relax the voice in your head. Because everyone in this room, we all have one problem. I don't care if you're 8 years of age or if you're 100 years of age. And there's some of us in this room close to that age 100. Right? I know Levi. Antonio over there. The only time in your life you're not happy is when your thoughts are going too fast. It's the only time. Think about any situation you have in your life is when your thoughts are going 100 miles an hour, it's the only time you're not happy. So what's the key? Learn to relax your thoughts. Learn to slow your thoughts down. I'm going to do this seminar a bit different to the way I've done every other seminar before. We have a few techniques, and you can send a message tomorrow to Sinead on Instagram. She'll send you all these. I have 7 techniques tonight that I'm actually going to go through tonight. And because what I want to do tonight, when people leave here tonight, I want people to go home with these tools. I want people to apply these tools in your life. Because you know what? If you do this stuff part-time, you get a part-time result. Make this your life. Make this, because this is fun. Like, everyone wants to feel good. Everyone wants to feel alive. Everyone wants to feel them juices flowing. It's like when I came across this information for the first time, when I started hearing my mentor, Steve McGowan, saying, there's thoughts going through the room right now. I said, what is he talking about? The man is crazy. What do you mean, what thoughts? But that's the way it works. Everything's about frequency. For the new people in the room, what is frequency? As you think thoughts affect the way you feel. So we call it, he's in good form or he's in bad form. So what happens when you're vibrating on a high frequency and you're buzzing and you're feeling alive, what happens then? That frequency goes out into the universe. And what happens then? The universe gives you back situations, circumstances and events to match what you're putting out there. So when you're feeling lethargic, when you're feeling, oh my God, like when you're feeling like a victim, Joe Dispenza famously said you're defined by 2 things, a vision of the future or a victim of the past. For many years I was a victim of the past. I thought when I came to the end of my addiction, I said, why me? Like I was 25 years of age, I was sitting inside the Charlie's with a point in my hand, but there was no bright lights, there was no future. So when you get up out of bed in the morning, when you were a kid, you embraced the day, you embraced the unexpected, you went out and you didn't care what was in front of you, but you were excited to get out that door. Can you imagine telling a kid at 4 or 5 years of age, you're going to have a great day tomorrow? Tomorrow. It's all about now. It's about today. But as an adult, we love tomorrow because it's a trick. Tomorrow's never coming. Every moment is always the present moment. You've got to embrace the present moment. As Eckhart Tolle said, make the present moment your best friend. When you make the present moment your best friend, you have no more problems. Like, you're always going to have life challenges and life problems. Problems, and they're not the problem, it's the way you react to them is the problem. Is life sometimes going to throw stuff at you? Absolutely. I'm after having the most difficult 2 years of my life, my personal life. But you know what? That's life. You deal with the card you're given and you embrace it because you know what? I have a choice to make. I woke up some days I didn't know how I was going to get to the next day in my head, but because I have a choice to make, I can stay here if I want for the next few weeks, or I can get out and get on with it. You know what? I went through some painful days, but I just get on with it. Because you know what? Life's going to beat you up, but it's up to you. You can take the beating for so long, and then you come to a stage and say, you know what? I'm going to enjoy my life. Because I can promise you one thing, every single person that on their last day in this physical world, in the breathing world, that were interviewed and asked, would they do anything different? I would have spent more time with my family and friends. I would have spent more time with my kids. I wouldn't have worked as much. Look at Steve Jobs, one of the most famous men ever lived. Like, we all carry these things in our hands. None of his kids will allow them. Bill Gates, none of his kids will allow computers, right? Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with phones. Phones are perfect, technology is perfect, used in moderation. But you can go on YouTube and see what he said in these last few words, you know. It was sad to hear, you know. So don't wait 30 years to live today. Today is the day, now is the day, embrace the day. As I went back to a while ago, feel the way you felt at the start of this seminar, and I can promise you, as the seminar goes on, you're going to feel more alive, you're going to feel more awake, and you're going to just get some aha moments. You know what? Like, what am I doing with my life? Like, I have a question, just for yourself. Are you happy? Like, I'm not trying to offend nobody. Are you like, when these questions hit you, you go, oh Jesus, because we go through our whole lives and we just get on with the norm. How are you getting on? Yeah, keeping the wolf from the door. How is everything? Yeah. Grandma, hear the news, hear the drama, yeah. I know as you go on and speak like that, the first form of creation is the thoughts you think. The second form of creation is the words you speak. You're actually creating your environment. You're actually creating more circumstances to come into your life. Now, things happen in people's lives. I don't know the answers. I've been at a few very sad events there of late, you know, and I don't have the answers to a lot of things, right? But all I do know is that when you apply these tools and techniques in your life, you're just going to have a better life. I do know that. And like, you're here for a reason. You're here to live. You're here to embrace. Every single human being has a gift. So what is your gift? How? And you might say, how do I find my gift? You'll hear as the seminar goes on. What? Like, my imagination. If I say to you, what's your imagination? You say, something I used when I was a kid. No. Albert Einstein, one of the most greatest men that we all know, said imagination is more powerful than knowledge. Like, you have the ability to dream. Your mind's made up into two parts. You have a conscious mind and a subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind, the deeper part of your mind, is connected to the cosmos and operates this whole universe. That's why Abraham Hicks says it doesn't matter if you're building a button or a castle, it's your belief in it so. You have so much power within. Eckhart Tolle said the story one day, part of it down the road, there was a man begging on a box. He asked for money. He says, I'm not going to give you any money. He goes, the goal is in the box. The goal is within you. The gift is within you as a human being. You have so much potential. Like, what happens when you're young? See, it's your belief system. What happens there as you're getting older, right? That's not meant to be a snowman, I know, but it looks like one. As you're getting older, right? When you're young, right? What happens when you're young? You're free. You're happy. You're peaceful. But the Jesuit says, give me a boy for 7 years and I'll give you a man. The first 7 years of your life is the most important time in your life. Your subconscious is open. So your subconscious, like, you come into this world, you're open. And you're like a computer. Like, let me give you the analogy. If we all turned on a computer back in 1990, what would happen? You could do nothing. Why? There's no applications. You're just a blank space. And then over years, we programmed in all these Google Chrome, Safari, ChatGPT is the new big thing that we were talking about a while ago. It's an amazing thing if you're not using it. Unbelievable. You know, and all these other applications make the internet now a place that we all want to go to, right? So when you first come in, right, as a human being, this is very important now, right? You're a blank space. There's nothing there, right? You have no program. Watch this now. You're sitting down. We're not blaming now anyone's parents or grandparents or anybody at all. This is just a fact, right? Like, who knows about this? Coca-Cola. I worked with them for 15 years. The pharmaceutical industries. What do they say there every year? Flu season, flu season. It's all programming, right? So listen to what I'm going to say next, right? So your first 7 years inside your house, the conversation your parents are having, the conversation your grandparents have, the radio stations that are on, the news channels you're listening to, the stuff that happened in school, were you bullied or were you a bully? The stuff that happened on the road, all that formed you as a human being. That's why the Jesuits who started the Catholic school system says, give me a boy for 7 years and I give you a man. The first 7 years you're programmed. That's why the news is where the news is. They're programmed. That's why the schools are the way the schools is. And we have some fantastic school system out there. I'm not saying anything like that. But like, look at the systems that are coming, right? But what's starting to happen in schools now is things like meditation. People are starting to do goal setting. People are starting to do this. And this is what needs to happen. But look from the system that we brought onto, and look at the conversation that happened in your home for the first 7 years. Now let me challenge this with you. I want you to think of a person right now, not yourself, that you met at 8 years of age, and think of him as right now, 40 or 50 or 60. I bet you he's the same personality. If he was shy then, he's going to be shy now. If he's an introvert then, he's going to be an introvert now. Because your parent could have said to you, unknowns to herself, I go, well, that he's very shy. Or you're a blackguard, or he's a lunatic. Or, we don't know this now, so we're not blaming. And then that child takes on that label and brings that label for the rest of his life with him. But I have good news for you. There's a way I'm going to show you tonight how you can break that tonight and leave and break it for life. And the most important way to break is the story you tell yourself. You get up in the morning and say, you know what? I'm going to have a good day. You know what? Life is actually good. So what happened? You're actually reprogramming your whole subconscious. Now, normally, I have a whole presentation done by Fionn, and I don't even get to a slide, so I'm going to definitely get to slide tonight, Fionn. So I want to do this before I go on too much. Now, this first one here, right, that I want to show you, right, is thoughts here, right? Right? Watch this, right? This is a block here, right? Each thought is like a unit of energy. So, the story you tell yourself is one of the most important ways to change your subconscious. So you can go from a very shy person to a very confident person. But the most important way is this, right? You gotta, when you start saying, I am confident, I am healthy, I'm happy, you gotta come from a place, you start off by probably not, if you don't like yourself right now, because 90% of the population don't actually love themselves, right? And that's facts now, right? So if you right now are hard on yourself, you're feeling that like, you know, you're like you're not worthy or something like that. And like the reason I'm saying that, right, like I was like that for many years myself in addiction. So if someone's like that tonight, I'm not trying to put it on you, but I'm just trying to explain to you, right? How you can gradually change the view you have of yourself, right, is affirmations. I am healthy. I am happy. I'm going to have a good day today. Life is actually good. Because what happens when you start speaking words of this, right, you start building blocks of thought inside you. Let's say right now, right, these are all thoughts. You think 90,000 thoughts a day. But let's say now, what thoughts have you been thinking for the past few weeks? Fear, lack, sometimes happy, but insecurity. But if you're thinking 70,000 thoughts are fear of lack, I'm not good enough, and there's only a handful of good thoughts, what you got to do is you got to start putting down nicer blocks of thoughts. Just slowly. This Rome wasn't built in a day, and you're not going to get overnight turn it in. Let's say if your vibration, your frequency is not good, you're not feeling the best. Overnight, you're not going to wake up tomorrow morning and say, you know what? Fuck it, yes, my life is great. You might get a burst after the seminar. You might feel fantastic, but I can promise you, within a few days, the old frequency will come back. So like everything's about frequency. We're going to do some diagrams in a minute on frequency and explain some stuff on it. But like everything is about frequency. So again, before we go into what is frequency? As you think thoughts affect the way you feel. And that feeling has a frequency. So like, if you dialed into Red FM tonight, would you get through to 96 FM? If I rang Sinead and Lorraine picked up, I was saying, what's going on here? I wouldn't, because it's different networks, different frequencies. So if you're on a frequency of love, happiness, joy, peace and freedom, if you see the glass half full instead of half empty, if you see the opportunity in the world and not the opportunity, you're on that frequency of abundance, of life's going to be good. So, but if you're on a frequency of lack, fear, insecurity, even being aware of what frequency you're on, you're already starting to change that frequency. So what you can do is start replaying the blocks and thinking better thoughts each day. And I can guarantee you, as you start doing this, if you do this for 30 days consistently, after 30 days your life will change. Will change forever. And that's a promise. But I can also promise you, if you do this stuff for 30 days, and then what happens then, if you don't keep it up? That's why the most important part of the day is in the morning. Why? It's about momentum. When you get up in the morning, you're actually reset. Because what happens is when you go to bed at night, you go back into your subconscious. That's why you ever have a very stressful day and you just can't wait to get to bed. Just go. Because when you're in bed, you go back into your subconscious. When you go back into your subconscious, what happens? You wake up in the morning, you're reset again. And when you get up in the morning, be careful of what conversations you're taking in. Be careful of what people you're listening to, whether it's the radio, the news. Because what happens, you might get a small bit of negatives. Did you hear what happened there? Look at the social media. He didn't like my post, she liked hers. He did this and all stuff that doesn't matter, right? But all that small stuff builds up and builds up and builds up. Then by 1 o'clock in the day, you might get another bit of bad news. Next thing in your head is gone. And you're all up in heat, you're having the fag, you're having the cup of tea, you're getting on the phone. And while you're doing on the phone, you're verbalizing all the stuff that already happened. When you keep on verbalizing stuff, what happens? You're bringing more of that to you. And what happens then, before you know it, it's just like an avalanche. Then you say, do you know what, my life for the last few weeks, I'm having an off a few weeks. Everything's gone wrong. But when you stand back and analyse and take responsibility for it, you say, all right. You know, I shouldn't have engaged there. Like, it's brilliant stuff when you get the habit of it. And when you get the habit of it, everything changes, guys. So here, right, we're going to go to the first technique I'm going to give you here, right? So this is step 1, right? I just spoke about it there, right? Identify your current channel. So what is your current channel that you've been playing over in your head for the last few weeks? Just think about it, right? What emotional or mental channel have you been tuned into lately? Is it been stress, worry, doubt, chasing, control? What has that been attracting into your life? So if you examine your thoughts for the past 3 months, that's what's in your life today. If you want to change what comes into your life in the next 3 months, you got to change your thoughts today. Every sage through the history of time have agreed on one thing. You are a product of your thoughts. Think about it. We're just a species. We evolved from animals, right? We're just a species. People don't like to talk about that, but we're a species, okay? But we're the next evolution. We're the highest species that has ever been formed so far. And we're the longest surviving species. The Neanderthals were before us. I think we're 330,000 years old, right? But like, there will be another evolution beyond the human being. Don't think they won't be. Of course they will. It's evolution, right? And whatever that is, that will be. But like, what have we got different to an animal? Like, if you look at any animal, they've eyes, they've nose, same as us. But we got the imagination. We got the gift of 6 intellectual faculties, and one of them is your imagination. So that's why I say to people, run wild with your imagination. You can go 60 years ahead in your imagination, or you can go 60 years behind. Think about it. Like, I remember I used to use my imagination when I was out there in addiction. I used to be 20 years of age, worrying what was going to happen when I retired at 65. There I am, 20 years of age, going out to Sir Henry's or going to party in the show, worrying about 65. It's crazy stuff. You know, we can go back to 30 years ago. If you're in the future too much, and most of the time it would be in fear of the future, or a victim of the past. Why don't you switch that around? Use your imagination, have great dreams. Because I'm going to tell you something very powerful. Your subconscious, the deeper part of your mind, doesn't understand if you're visualizing something, if it's real or not. It takes it as fact. It cannot reject, it has to accept. So everything you put into your deeper part of your mind, because after 7 or 8 years it closes. And when it's open, you could actually change your program. How do you get your subconscious to open after 7 or 8 years? One of the ways is called theta frequency. What is theta frequency? Meditation. When you meditate, what happens? You're relaxing your thought process. We'll do it in a minute. If you've never meditated before, you're going to have some experience meditating in a group. It's called shared being. And what happens when your subconscious opens, you can change your program. I've seen people going from so shy to so confident with this stuff. I've seen people coming in here losing 10, 15 stone on the back of this stuff. I've seen people changing careers on the back of this stuff. This stuff works. I've seen people going from 0 to financial freedom on the back of this stuff. It works for every part of your life. It doesn't matter. People want 3 things in life. More money, better health, and better relationships. But I have something for you, right? If your life is in the future, it's never going to get there. If you're driving a car right now, right? I'm just going to give you an example, right? Just a ladder. If I remember a ladder, just don't have resentment against me, right? A ladder, right? And your dream car, right, is a Mercedes, right? But you hate your ladder. You can never get to in a Mercedes hating where you are. If you're in a job and you hate your job, but you want the promotion, how can you get there when it's in the future? This is where everyone, like, people hear the word law of attraction, hear the secret, whole the vision is here. If the law of attraction worked like that, can you imagine walking down the beach with your missus, every time you thought of someone popped up, oh gee, I didn't like him, I didn't like her, oh my God. You know, it doesn't work like that. You got to be able to hold your vision for a period of time. That's why Einstein said, there's 2 things wrong with human beings, poverty of imagination and weakness of attention. If you have a goal and a dream to drive that car, let's go back to work. We can identify work, right? So let's say you want that job promotion or that job of your dreams, but you're in a job right now and you absolutely hate it, right? This is the key with law of attraction that will change your life if you get this right now. You gotta be in that. You gotta love the job you're in to get into that other job. You gotta love your boss. You gotta love everybody around you. If you're in a bad relationship and you want to get to a new relationship, you got to enjoy the relationship you're in. You can't get to another destination hating where you are. If you see someone else win the lotto, you should celebrate as if you won the lotto. What happens most of us? We see someone else getting on in life and we criticize them. Then you're in this old frequency. You got to get into that frequency. If you see sirens going down the road, that's someone giving you a sign. There's no accident why that siren's going down the road. Everything in this world is synchronicity. There is no mistake. Everything happens for a reason. It's all there. Take the signs in. Everything's about frequency. Everything's about frequency. Then ask, is this the vibration I want to multiply? So you can all have these slides tomorrow, right? Ask Sinead in the Instagram from, right? But ask yourself, right? Like, what channel do I want to be on? Ask yourself the question now, right? Like seriously, like what channel do I want to be on? What? And just change the channel. I prefer frequency. What frequency do I want to be on? Like, do I want to go through my life happy? And we all want to be happy. There's nobody wakes up in the morning and says, do you know what? I'm going to be demented today. I'm just going to just have some hatred there. Nobody does that. But look, that voice in the head comes in. It comes in. It comes in. You know, and it's brilliant for the kids here tonight. Like they can learn this stuff at this age and embrace it now. Like people say to me, what's the best way you can do from here? Go home and bring it home to your kids. But you don't go home on the first night, sit your kid down, tell them all this stuff. You say they're definitely gone wacky, you know. But you bring it in slowly to them, like, you know, you bring it in slowly. Like everything there, we do every night, going to bed, sit down with the kids. And I do my prayers on my knees. I learned that in the village where I go to. Sit down, humble myself, do my knees and my prayers. And know what? They're so used to it over the years, we just talk about it. And we go over what 3 things you're grateful for today. You know, simple things, and you think it has to be new things every night. Give me 3 goals you have now. And then we do the Our Father, we do prayer. Very simple, few minutes, and they're going to bed then with that in their head. And then we teach them about visualisation and stuff like that. But bits and pieces, we just drop it in. Is it going to make the kids perfect? Absolutely not. No way. You know, I've 4 kids, you know. It's like all different personalities. But all you're doing is you're just giving them a bit extra tools. Can you imagine getting this stuff at 8 years of age, 7 years of age? Like we've a fella there, Nicholas young fella there, Jack. Oh my God, talk about a kid being ahead of his time. He's unbelievable, natural born comedian, right? But you know what, he's had to be on my page more than my own kids on the page, you know, but he just naturally understands this stuff, he naturally whips it off, you know. And imagine getting at that age, 6 years of age, going through your life, you know, because I'm telling you, you are passing this on to your kids and loved ones, whether you recognise it or not, because they know by the way you change, they know by your attitude, they know by the look. You can't fake someone's eyes. The truth's in there. You can see you ever have a conversation with someone and you leave and you feel pure fulfilled. You know why? Because they listen to you. Do you ever go and have a conversation with someone's like this, like, you're fucking just sitting down and no fault in there. I know you leave and you just felt worse after having a conversation. Like watch this, watch the power of words, you know. Watch this now. Watch the well change room 1 second. Peace, love, happiness, joy. No, see the power of words now. See the way the room, the frequency. Doesn't matter if you're in the room or you're online. This is the power of words. All I'm doing is speaking from my heart now. There's no resentment. All is love for everybody, for myself, for everybody. So what happens when you speak from presence, and this is within every single person, everything changes. Do you ever go into a pub, you're having a pint, one person comes in who's very intimidating, his frequency dominated the pub. So what happens is that when you meet somebody, they're going to rise to your frequency or you're going to rise to their frequency. Like we go to retreats, right? We've actually one coming up. And like, you'll see after 2.5 hours when you leave this room, you'll see the difference in you. If you stay in the room, you can't escape the feeling, right? You imagine doing this for 4 days. We start in the morning 8 o'clock, we finish at 11 o'clock each night. We have people on the first night. I remember my daughter came to a retreat a few years ago. And, you know, she was young. I think she's the youngest ever to come on a retreat. She's not be 18s and over. I think she might have been 17 at the time, I'm not sure. 17, 18. Anyway, she came. Remember the first night she wanted to go home. She goes, Dad, I can't do it. I goes, Abby, stay in the room. I goes, the room will get to you. You can't escape it, like, you know. The next day we went out to the woods and she got a breakthrough. Someone asked me on the end of another retreat, he said, why do you do these retreats? And I go, see her there, he says. I goes, if I never did a retreat for the rest of my life, because that was worth it. She wanted to see the breakthrough she got up there. I'm on about breakthrough as in life breakthrough. She was going through, she had scoliosis and she had a tough time with scoliosis. Her whole back had opened up and stuff like that there a few years ago, you know. She had a very tough comeback from it, you know. And she went through a lot of stuff with it, you know, and stuff like that. But like, you want to see the breakthrough she got up there. And what the breakthrough was? Peace, freedom, live life. Since then she went on to smash loads of goals, she got to do loads of things, you know. And I've seen this with so many people up on these retreats. And I'm on about, we were at one retreat. We going up in the bus, and normally, you know, in retreats you'd have a few big characters going up, like you have like Roy, you know, and Glenn and stuff like that. And you know, you hear the lads before you see them, you know, and very big characters, and you know, up in the bus to be great crack. We went to this retreat anyway, okay? And I swear, in there, I'm not joking, half the people didn't want to get on the bus, they just got full of fear and loads of crying and everything like that. I goes, whoa. We're up in the bus anyway. And I was talking to someone up in the bus, in the back of the bus, they goes, how are you going to do this one? And I goes, you know what? I goes, just we'll go the way it's meant to go. Anyway, right, we got up there, right, and like went on for the 4 days, okay, but the first night, right, we did a meditation, and I've never seen this at a retreat in the first night. Someone just broke down and opened up about something that happened in his life. It was very deep, very personal. Like, I had to kind of say, like, you know, very safe place, but this was very deep and personal, right? It opened the floor. I mean, you know, like what people came with that weekend, and there was no like high positives up there. There was no drum, like, and Teresa said to me, come away on the 4th day, I've never ever been to a retreat. At this stage, we have done a good few up there with this much peace or healing. So what I'm saying is like what happens at these retreats, especially, like, and like the retreat coming up is sold out, so I'm not trying to sell a retreat or anything like that, right? I'm only just saying to yourself, if you ever get an opportunity to go on one, like go on one. I'm going to these retreats, receiving them since 2009. I've been all over the world at them, and people asked me years ago, why do you keep going back to them? It's hard to explain to someone if they've never been to one, you know. So I started doing them myself only in 2022, I think. So I've been a receiver of them for years and years. Then I started doing them through Hello My Friend, I just giving back, and then it's just caught on. This is my first time doing one, I think, in a year and a half. I can't wait for it. I actually love it as much as anybody in the room, you know. But they change your life. This material works, and I don't care what age you are. Like I remember there a few years ago, Tony remind me saying this. Like Tony was the barman where we worked years ago in Temple Acre. And I remember he's going to his first retreat, and his nephew Benny got on to me and says, listen, I don't think Tony's going to go, lad. And he goes, will you give him a buzz? And I goes, yeah, no, but I'll bring him on. Tony, what's happening there? Time to chat away. And he said, I don't know, I'm old enough to be someone your grandfather's going to pay on. And I goes, Tony, do you know what they all have in common? You and all them. I think my daughter was actually going to that one. I goes, they all have the same voice in the head. He goes, no, Paul, I never thought of it that way. He goes, it doesn't matter what age you are, it's up there. You know, and he came, and I think he's been at every one since then. You know, him and my dad, they're only too loud to come to all of them. Because obviously we try to leave new people to come to each one, you know. Now this is our first time now in a year and a half, so there's obviously a few family members that come to this one as well. But you know what? They're life changing. Whether you get to my one or somebody else's one, invest in yourself. I heard something the other day by Pat David, you might know him from Valuetainment. He's outside Joe Rogan, he's one of the biggest podcasters in the world, right? And the guy in the audience asked him a question, right? And I thought this was brilliant. And he said, Pat, he says, like for someone who's starting out in life, what's the best investment advice you can give them? You know, so he thought he was going to say something like Bitcoin or the stock market. I was waiting for something like Bitcoin, stock market or something like this. Next thing Pat goes straight up to him, big you thousands in the audience. How much do you make a year? And some people don't get very offended by that question, but he straight out asked him. I've never heard this asked before in my life. This was obviously a kid was coming through college and stuff like that. He goes, I make 10 grand a year. He goes, you know what your problem is? He goes, your problem, he goes, is an investment problem. But he goes, sorry, it's not an investment problem. He goes, it's a problem with you. And he goes, the problem with you is you need to invest in yourself. And he goes, how can I invest in myself, Pat? He goes, no, when I was your age. He goes, I used to go to 3 or 4 seminars a month, right? And that would be the Bob Proctor, he was Tony Robbins, all these guys all over the world, right? And he goes, a month. And I just sat back and thought about it, like, you know, of my own journey, right? And I'm just saying, just like I heard this the other day. I remember, right, back in 2013, you know, I was in a financially okay place in my life, right? And I lost everything, right? I went from financially free for the rest of my life to the social welfare. And anybody on the social welfare here, like, I was grateful to be on it at the time, so there's no disrespect here, right? I was on it actually 3 or 4 times in my life. I lost everything a few times in my life. But you know one thing I never failed to do? Turn up at seminars and retreats. I remember borrowing from, I remember putting my credit card on them. And I'm not saying you do that, I done that myself. I remember going up the country on my own to them. I remember going to to John Boyle, who owned the Boyle Sports, and I said, why am I going to his seminar if he's involved in gambling? I'm in addiction myself. But I was told, come up by Stevie, come up. I went up on my own. That seminar changed my life. There was a guy who came from the UK, and he said how much he was worth. He said, I'm worth 10 million. And I nearly fell off the seat. What? And he goes, I'm involved in the stock market. He said, involved in property. I have physical gold. And he says, I do trading on the Forex on night times when it's closed, when most markets are closed. And he goes, no, what's wrong with most human beings, people out there who are working? I've never heard this in my life. This was in 2000 and was it 15, I think, up in Limerick. He goes, people have one source of income. And all I was ever taught since I was a kid, you go to school, you do your best, you study for your exams, okay? You go to college, you get that job, you do your thing, and you're a success in life, right? Nothing's wrong with the school system, because I wasn't, by my parents, everyone told me this, right? But I was never told about something called residual income. It changed my life. And what this man spoke about says, if you survive on one check, and that job is gone tomorrow, where do you go? I said, whoa. And I goes, that was my problem. I always got involved in one thing, and if anything happened to that one thing, I was left on the floor again. So what happened then, again, everything starts with a thought. Every invention through the history of time have started with a thought. 150 years ago, they said they're going to put a plane in the sky. They wanted to lock up the Wright brothers. Einstein says, I'm going to light up the world. He failed 1,071 times, and then he succeeded. Elon Musk said a few years ago he's going to put cars in the sky. Now we're starting to believe it. Elon Musk came on the scene, and what did he do? He challenged the whole car industry. They all laughed at him. Look at him now. So the power that's inside your mind, the power inside your thoughts. So when I started understanding residual income, when I started to understand this, straight away it says, if they can do it, I can do it. See, there's nobody in this world better than you. You are better or worse than nobody else in this world. You have the power. Your subconscious is the same as everybody else. What happens is our belief system. We think we're not good enough. We think we can't do it. And what happens, we suppress it. So then when you're young, you have these vibrant cells in your body. Everything is vibrant. What happens when you're older, you get told you're not good enough. You can't do this. I was told my first year in the geography in the Northern, I hate first years. That's what the geography teacher said. I want to start off the year, tell you one thing, I hate first years. I goes, whoa, talk about shocking the subconscious. And by being around my community, told I'm not good enough, you can't do this, you can't do that. I went to Churchfield School, they said we didn't know what marmalade was. Tell that in primary school. There's no kid should be told that. So the newspapers and everything blew up all over the place. So where I come from, I wasn't meant to succeed, I wasn't meant to do this. But what happens when I came around this information, when I came out of addiction, I started thinking big. I started going to these seminars and retreats and started hearing people saying, if they can do it, you can do it. Then I started having small goals, getting victories. Then I started having bigger goals. That's when I'm saying use your imagination, stretch it, think the scariest goals possible, go for your goals and dreams. So what if you don't get them? People come to me all the time for advice about business. I'm opening a business. I go, yeah, open it. But what happens if I fail, Paul? So what, open another one? Keep going. Think like an entrepreneur. Go for your goals and dreams. Like that's what life's all about. Life's about going for it and getting up and getting on with it. Like I'm not saying anyone leave your job tomorrow and start their goals. You bring me next week, Paul, where's the check? You know what I mean? I'm just saying, use your initiative, love what you're in now, but go for your goals. Go for your dreams. Embrace what's here now, then take the chance if it comes. And when the chance comes, you know it's right. By the way you feel, your intuition, and the intellectual faculty you have. Do you ever know it? You have a decision to make with your head or your heart. Listen to your heart. Listen to the power in your heart. And when you go for your goals and dreams, you know, you're living on the edge then, you're living on the spice of life. You're getting up out of bed in the morning, you have that buzz. Like, what's your purpose? What's your vision of the future? Where do you see yourself in 5 years' time? Get up in the morning, you have to have a purpose. So if you have no purpose, you get on with the norm. You get up in the morning, you just go, oh God. Get up in the morning, jump out of bed. If we're all going to Spain tomorrow morning, what would happen? We get up in the bed, be buzzing, oh yes, get out to the airport. Then you're over line, you can't wait to get back home straight away. I hate the sun. You know what I mean? How can we win it all? Can you imagine the words you've been speaking for the past few years, the damage you're doing to yourself, and knowing this now, how you can change it? Will you fall back into the old conversations? Of course you will. I fall into it every single day. Will you have the crack with the lads and the laugh and the girls? Of course, life is life. No, you're not going to take it too serious. It's not about who's the more spiritual person. It's not just like, I'm more spiritual. Like, that's another trap you get into. I heard that before. People in the text you tell them they're enlightened and everything. Crazy stuff. Like, that's another ego trap. But don't fall into any of that. Like, don't be trying to be the best at anything. Just be yourself. Like my brother told me a long time ago, I was so consumed for many years what people thought about me in a 4-mile radius. Like, think about it, like. I come from Knocknheeny. Anyone up there said anything about me, what do you mean? When you're down to their door when you're young, that's what you brought that way. If someone said something about you in Vietnam, I said, well, I didn't go there. But it's crazy, but we're consumed, what people think about it. It's none of your business what someone's opinion on you is. I thought for years I was so consumed about it. So consumed about it. It's not. I know you drop all that stuff. You know, you're dropping loads of bags off, yeah? Loads of bags of stress, and you just get up in the morning, and know what? It's about getting through the day and doing the best you can. That's all you do. You go in, if you work, or if you stay home with the kids, whatever your role in your day-to-day is your role, and you get up, and you just do your best. And know what? If there's ways you can feel a bit happier, why not apply it? Why not apply it? But just watch it, you just bring the whole thing back in. Just be aware of the silence again, and don't worry about anyone else walking around the place. So like a few times a day, right, you can just do this yourself. Just stop. Just stop. And just practice presence. Like a very brilliant one is this, like, put your hands in your heart and just say even the words, I am, I am, I am, I am. This is not a religious thing or anything like that, right? But I remember I was going to church years ago with my mum. We used to be sent down to church, but no one used to go in, like. Because you have to remember what the gospel was. So we'd ask someone, what was the gospel? And go on to remember what the gospel was. But you know, I used to always hear like, I am that I am. I never understood what they're talking about. Because your name is not your name. You're not your thoughts, you're not your body. Your name is I am. That's what your name is. So watch this now. Do you ever notice every affirmation they all sell law of attraction as money? Because it's very fancy to sell as money. But if you go back to the core of it, they say, I am happy, I am wealthy, I am abundant. Your name is everything that follows I am, you'll manifest into your life. So just say the words, even I am, and you get peace straight away, instant. Watch how we do it for a little 10 seconds. I am, I am, I am, I am, I am. Your whole nervous system starts to relax straight away. So anytime you get tense, if you can't do this, people around, just say the words, I am, in your mind, I am. Straight away, right? And then practice presence. Just practice. Just like I'll go to the next stage here now, right? This technique is my favourite technique. If you ever hear a technique from me, you'll never hear me explaining one that I think is better than this one, right? I just think that all the sages through history of time, this is the greatest technique that they teach, right? And it's understanding how your thoughts are, right? And this is going to the next step of presence, okay? So let's say this is a thought here, right? And this thought could be anything. It could be you losing the job today, you breaking up with your partner, your kid getting in trouble in school, whatever it is, right? It's a thought, right? Then there's a thinker of a thought where we all live. When human beings first came into civilization, there was just presence, okay? Presence. Thoughts would come and go. They wouldn't stick on. Do you know that? Thought would come. If you don't give the thought any attention, it goes away. You might go in town, right? Did you get the parking space or not? Wouldn't bother you, just come and go. But if someone beeped the horn at you, what do you mean? Or not, then you grab onto that thought. The minute you grab onto the thought, then you're playing the story of the thought, right? But thoughts don't have to be. You don't have to give thoughts as much power. So watch this, right? So let's say this situation is, let's say even the girls, you know, right? You're going for your first job, right? You're going for you're in a job, right? There's a promotion coming up Friday. There's 5 of you going for the promotion, it's only going to be one get it, right? So you really want this job now. And the girls, this is your first job, right? So this is the thought. This is the thinker. Oh Jesus, what am I going to make? Can I get to the boss? Can I do something? Can I say something? But anyway, the whole week your head is, will I get it? Because this is so important to you now. It's a real life situation. But this is the thinker of the thought. That week you'll have no peace. You get no sleep. You're demented, right? Then next week, that situation's gone. You got the job, you didn't get the job. Next week then something else will happen. You're arguing with the missus or something happened, you're broke up or the kids got in trouble in school and people live here. This is the crisis we face, guys. The biggest crisis we face in the world right now, bar none, is not what you're hearing on the news. It's a racing brain. People can't stop thinking and you're thinking so much. You're going, just imagine if you could get inside your head going down Chandler Street. Be mad, carry on, wouldn't it? You'd be bruised all over the place. But that's the way we're, I know what? It's so normal to be demented. It's so normal to have a head like that. It's crazy when you think of it. We're not meant to be like that. It's not meant to be like that. It's really not. And when I learned this in 2005, my whole life changed. I knew the day I picked up the power now, I don't know, it was September, October 2005. I knew the minute I read that book for the first 10 pages. I remember saying to someone, I goes, this is what I was looking for all my life. It spoke about the noise in my head. It spoke about this thing I didn't know. As a kid, I was a very happy kid. I was one of these kids that was out there getting up to everything, doing what everyone else did. You know what I mean? I'm a very happy kid. I don't blame nobody for going down the road I went down. I just knew I was a happy kid. I was involved in all sports, doing what most kids were doing, you know. And all I know is that I went down the addiction route for whatever reason, I don't know, right? I just did. And all I know is that at the end of that, at 25 years of age, like I was going down the road and walking in alleyways to dodge my friends from a conversation. From a fella that wouldn't dodge no one for a conversation because of my head, because of that brain going on like that. And I couldn't slow it down. And this technique changed my life. So this is it, right? This is the racing brain. No, just do this lot. Stand back from the thinker and be the observer. When you observe the chatter, what happens is like when you shine the light on the illusion, your racing brain stops. And what happens now, you're observing your thoughts. So now when thoughts come, it's like there's nobody home. They don't cling on to you. And now you're the observer of your thoughts. When you watch TV, you go below a thought. When you, see, if you watch the first box set, it's brilliant. Then you watch about 10. Like, me and Breffy's after watching one the other day, and I fell for this fixing myself about 10 or 11 in the one day in 1923. If you didn't watch it, watch it. Oh my God. I'm fucking exhausted, didn't I, because we planned something else. But we were so below thought, now we're exhausted, right? So what happens, when you eat the first burger, it's handsome. When you eat the second or third one, then you're below thought, right? But I'm not joking, but it's the truth, right? So you're below thought. But what happens, right? When you become to observe your chatter, you rise above thought. When you rise above thought, right, now you're the observer. And what happens, as Moshe says, is like perfume coming off your body, the way you feel this peace and serenity. So what happened to me when I was 26 years of age, I started applying these techniques. I didn't understand what I was doing, honestly. I read this book. It was only for a friend of mine, Noel, was going to the fellowship I was in. I gave him the power now after a week. I said, you have to read this, it changed my life. He read the book and he understood it straight away. I didn't get it straight away, I didn't understand it. He sat in Farnley Hill, I'm not joking, nearly every night with me for hours. I wouldn't even go home. I goes, how'd you absorb the thought? My thoughts are gone fast. I goes, but my thoughts were here before I absorbed them, they were gone. My head was so fast, it just was, but I know what I had. I had the hunger. I knew there was something in this book that was good for me. This is another brilliant technique, right? You go for a walk, pay attention to the steps you take. When you pay attention to the steps you take, you can't think. You're not thinking, think about it. You're walking, right? Watch another one, breathe into your nose. When you breathe into your nose and you're aware you're breathing, you can't think at the same time. You're bringing in nitric oxide. So I learned all these techniques, and what happens then, this is one of my favourite ones, right? Let's say now you go home after and you make a cup of tea, right? Just pay attention to your cup of tea. Pay attention to every movement you make. It's called the joy of being. That's why martial arts started. Martial arts started because it was like in the Tai Chi, it was about movement. That's why they say when these martial artists, these specialists can do special movement and they can actually do a lot of damage. It's movement of energy. It's all energy. So like when you pay attention to movement, you're having the cup of tea. Every movement you make is called the joy of being. That was the first technique that I understood from Eckhart Tolle. So I was going to open the car and I actually started being aware of what I was doing. Because no, you just do things, you're getting on with it and you're just going on about your day, you're driving down in the car. But when you start paying attention to what you're doing, then straight away I started feeling better. I remember I was working at Coca-Cola and I was driving the forklift. This peace came over me. And as I said to you before, I thought the only thing this peace came was in a substance and staying up for a few days and all that. I genuinely thought that was peace. Then this peace came to me without the substance. And I go, wow. And a lot of you know the story. Like anyone I saw, I was only throwing the book at him. This book will save it. Like Jesus, like a few weeks ago they saw me doing something else. The man's fucking born again over here doing this. It was crazy, right? You know what? I didn't care. I didn't care because I just knew it was good for him and I was doing it, you know. But what I'm saying is, then this peace came over me. I had it for 2 months. 2 months. And I swear, like I started meditating for the first time in my life. And I thought the peace within was never ever going to go away. I thought I had it for life. And after 2 months it was gone. Then I was saying, how do I get it back? How do I get it back? So I didn't have a clue. I was chased it then, and then you was running away. It was crazy, you know. But that was the start of my journey. I just had a spiritual experience. But these techniques are so powerful. If you want to hear the proper definition of that technique, go on to YouTube tonight. Go Eckhart Tolle, the Watcher. If you want another good one, Eckhart Tolle, the Pain Body. Eckhart Tolle explains this stuff the best that I've ever heard anyone explain it. He has a book called The Power of Now. I think everyone in the world should read the book. It's that good. So what I'm going to do now here, right? I have a few techniques I want to show you, right? So let's go through these. So the first one is choose a news channel, okay? So we see here, I have a new emotional station for this week, right? So what station or what channel are you going to choose for this week, right? So everyone here, right? Like joy, power, peace, certainty, abundance, worthiness, right? So make that decision tonight. You know what? This is what I'm going to choose. Next one here. Write how you behave, speak, think and receive when in that energy. When I'm on this channel, think about like, if I'm on that channel of happiness, joy, peace and freedom, what way are you going to be with people? What way are you going to talk to people? What way are you going to be at home? What way are you going to be in front of your kids? And bit by bit, you start doing it. Step 3, right? This is a very good one here, right? It's called the magnet exercise. There's 3 things, right, you want to attract, right? List what thoughts and feelings you would naturally match those outcomes. So think about it, right? So think about everyone now. Think about it. Take a second here, right? Just keep your eyes open. What 3 things would you like to attract right now? Just think about it. Because what happens, a lot of people, they go through life, they don't know what they want to attract. Think about 3 things you want to attract. Is more money, better health, better relationships, better job, new partner, have kids. And I'm going to share something very powerful here now. I hope the person in the room doesn't mind me saying this, right? There's cards here for everyone, right, tonight, right? I'm going to show you the power of writing down before I explain the next bit here, right? These cards, there's gold cards for everyone in the room here tonight, right? They're in the kitchen, they're here, right? We've done 8 or 9 retreats in the last few years. I've been to so many, right? When you put pen to paper on your goals and dreams, right? I don't know what it is, right? I don't know how it works, and nobody does, right? But there was a study done at Harvard University a long time ago. They asked, it was in the 70s or 80s, they asked anyway, how many people write down their goals on paper? 5% put up their hands. They went back, done a live study 20 years later. Another 5% that write down their goals and dreams are the only people that the goals and dreams came true for. There's a man in this room, right? I hope he doesn't mind me saying it there. I'll call these out first, right? He went to one retreat. It was the first ever retreat. I have his card here. I won't show you all now because there's one. That's in the pipeline. So it's but he went to his first retreat. I never knew this now. I didn't know what he put down in the retreat, but he sent me this message. And he goes, Paul, I went to your first retreat, right? And he goes, I put this stuff down, right? So on it, right? I won't name one of them because one of them's on the way, right? One of them, right, was a high-paying job. He was in one job, and through synchronicity, through law of attraction, he didn't know this was going to happen. He didn't know the way it was going to work out. But now he's in another job, right? Way more secure, way higher paying, which happened only in the last year. He went to the first retreat in January 2022, okay? The next one was to be married, engaged. Michael, where'd you get married and engaged there recently? Where was it?
Coldplay concert.
Coldplay concert. He got married and engaged recently, right? And another one here, right? And this is a brilliant one, right? I won't go into all the details now because it's personal, right? But Michael got on to me there a few months ago, telling me about this house of his dreams that he has to get, whatever. Anyway, right? Like everything else, right? There was a lot of obstacles in the way, a lot of things. And I goes, Michael, will you do one thing for me? He goes, what? I goes, there's a book that myself and Brett have done. It's called The Magic by Rhonda Byrne. I heard about this book for years. I've done it in the last year, right? And I goes, get the book and do it with your partner. But I goes, you gotta talk every day in the house as if you have the house. I goes, you gotta tell each other you have the house. He goes, you forget about the problems, forget about the obstacles. You do this book, I says. But Paul, this can't happen. This is what's going on. This is what's going on. This is what's going on. I goes, listen, forget about the problem here now. This is what we got to do if you do it. And so we were back and forth every day talking to each other about the house, right? And when did it happen? The last week or two, is it?
Signed contracts there last Monday.
Last Monday, right? Another goal on it was help somebody. If anyone knows him, right, he helps more people around the place than most people I know, right? And there's another private goal that's on the way that I'm not going to call tonight. But what I'm saying to you, right? No. I'll get in trouble. The best one's on the way. But what I'm saying, right, this stuff is magic, right? Like, I don't know how it works, right? All I know is, right, when you do it in a high frequency, that's the key. See, when you're writing your goals, if you're not feeling good, you're feeling lethargic, it's not the place to do it. If you want to do affirmations, right, and if you're feeling really down, you're not feeling good, you're doing, I am happy, I am healthy, and you're not feeling it, you got to work yourself up to it. You got to get up in the morning and say you're not feeling, I was talking to someone ago, they said they got up and they weren't feeling good, but then they forced them to do a walk, they forced them to ground on a bit of grass, they did the 7 minutes, minutes. You work yourself into it. Like sometimes, like I was there yesterday and I nearly cancelled tonight. Honest to God, I nearly cancelled tonight. I was going to cancel. I had loads of reasons not to do tonight because something happened. They go, I'm not going to do it. And I go, stop. So people are committed to go now. You're going and you go. And I talk myself out of it. You know what I mean? So everything I'm saying here tonight, I have to do it myself. But when you practice, people ask me, how do you get yourself into that state? By simple talking to yourself. Like, say, you know what, today's going to be a good day. You know what, life is great. You know what, the universe always works out for me. Do you know what, Jesus, like, things, and then you start getting yourself into this place, right? Like, I like doing it myself in the gym. Like, where I lived before, I had a gym out the back. It was my favourite place to get into a high positive. I'd go in the back, I'd be hitting the pads, and I'd be shouting and screaming around to myself. And I wouldn't care about nobody. I'd be in there shouting around and get myself into that high positive. When you're in that high positive, that place of freedom is an insurance policy for the next 3 or 4 hours. You're going to feel fantastic. And you can say, but you don't have to go up into high positive, but you can talk yourself into it. And know what? Look for gratitude. Like I remember a few years going over to Belarus. I was talking to somebody the other day about it. Going over to Belarus there for a few years, helping out people over there. Going over there, seeing people over to orphanages where basically we would go over, we raise money here and bring it over to them. I remember bringing my daughter over there, over to Abbey. No, 1 year we gave people an urn board. The next year the same person got an urn. They get one utility a year for 8 years, then they go into face the world. And they come back here and not be grateful to live in this amazing country. You know what I mean? Have clean running water. Have nearly full employment in the country. But we can get caught up in the negative. We can caught up in what's going on in the news and what's going on in the world. Remember being at a seminar in 2012, delivered a piece of paper, and it was all the drama. He goes, does this sound familiar? He goes, yeah, what's going on today? But that was 1962. You know what I mean? Like, do you know what, in the last 80 years in this world, you know, it was the most peaceful time ever to live in the last 80 years. Yes, there's stuff going on at the moment. The most peaceful time, no, that's over. And people blame it. It's America. Because a thing called Bretton Woods there, I won't go into all the politics about it. It was in 1942, just before they were about to defeat Hitler in Germany. All the biggest countries in the world got together. It's called Bretton Woods. Check it on YouTube. And they got together and they goes, how are we going to solve all the wars in the world? We're going to create these banks. We're going to create all this stuff to put money out there. I'm not condemning anything in America because I know there's a lot of crazy stuff as well. I'm not saying that. But America became the policeman of the world. That's what they done. So they had the Federal Reserve where they pumped out dollars and imported goods and services. And now what's happening at the moment? They're trying to change all that. With the tariffs and all that, they're trying to rechange the world order. That's what's going on. And they're trying to isolate, America's trying to isolate itself now. And there's a lot of stuff going on. And now that's starting to, they protected us from Russia. There's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. So what I'm saying to you, people are condemning what they're doing right now. But I can tell you one thing. It was like, Ireland was from 1922 to 1992, we were the poorest country in the Western world, Ireland. So where do we get our wealth from? People don't give the politicians enough credit back in the day by bringing down the corporation tax to 12.5%, by bringing in multinationals. Do you know that 65% of the money in Ireland comes from multinationals in here? Now, if they all go home, there will be no cinema, taxis and all, the money won't be there. Go back and tell ask your parents about the 70s. Ask them about the 60s, what Ireland was. Ireland embraced it and they opened up. You know what I mean? So sometimes when you listen to what's going on, like step out. What I try to do is listen to the left and listen to the right, and then come in the middle and have an intuition. Because before someone told me, I believe that. Listen, I'm not condemning anything Trump is doing. He's trying to do something good for America. But there's a guy called Jack Soros. He bought 200 media stations just recently in America. He's on the left. And they're putting their story out there. And they wouldn't talk about Trump for a long time. And now, a lot of stuff that he's doing, he's trying to bring the money back home at tariffs, but he's doing it the wrong way. You can't really change the world order overnight. America's not ready. They're not ready to make products. They're brilliant at exporting. But they're not ready to do it inside. That's why the place has gone crazy. But what I'm saying is, right, both sides are right and both sides are wrong. There's no one right in everything. But you know what? When you expand your mind out and start understanding all this stuff, what's going on, you know what I mean? Then you come back to this country. We're blessed to be here. We've been involved in the most prosperous time this country has ever had. But yet your mindset will focus on what you're being fed by the news. You'll be focused on the program in the first 7 years of what's going on. What about freedom? What about entrepreneurship? Teach your kids residual income. Go experience the world. Travel all over the world. Why stay in this country? Go everywhere. Experience life, because that's what life's for, is to experience it. Get up and you know what, when you look back when it's all said and done, you say, you know what, I done my best. You know what, I done my best. And I lived life to the best I could. And I don't care what age you are. I don't care what age you are. Seeing Tony Maher, what he done there a few years ago, climbing Croagh Patrick, inspiring my dad to do it. Remember up on top of the mountains, when Tony got up there and all that, I'd always have something to say on the top of the mountain, say a few words. I was just saying, I couldn't believe he done it. There was part of me saying he's never going to do it, but you know what? He had the vision, I'm going to do that. If he never ever done it, he already succeeded. See, everyone thinks the goal is, the end destination is the key. It's not, that's the destination. It's the journey is the key. You have the goal as the destination, it's the journey. Enjoy the experience. Everybody says I want to be a millionaire. Then they get there, they're going to be miserable. I know loads of people who are millionaires and they're miserable. Trust me. You You know what I mean? I've been there myself and I lost every single thing. I went from there to social welfare in 3 weeks. Only a few years ago. 3 weeks, social welfare, €400 a week from being a millionaire. So I know what it's like to be up and I know what it's like to be down. And I know what it's like to be up there and be absolutely miserable. I'm not saying it's not handy to pay the bill, I'm not saying that. Money is energy, it'll come and go. But the most important thing is to be free. It took me to 26 years of age to understand what life is all about. I grew up thinking money was my God. Money was everything. And that's what I believed, that's what I was told, and that's what I wanted to be. I thought if I had a certain financial figure, I'd be happy. And at 25 years of age, I came into recovery with plenty of money, lost it all through an investment of my own. And I had nothing. And I picked up the power now and it changed my life. I remember I was playing with my son Dean, and I was so happy and I ain't got a penny. I was 6 months behind the mortgage. It was tough. I could barely put food on the table. But you know what? I goes, Jesus, mate. I goes, I'm happy. I have no money, I'm happy. I goes, happiness is an inside job. I didn't know it was an inside job. I didn't have a clue. And most people go through life and they can be multimillionaires. And know what? Fair play to them if they are. Fair play to them. But it's about happiness. It's about happiness. It's about peace of mind. That's true freedom. It's peace of mind. Because for thousands and thousands of years, no one, it's only the last 200 years that people have come into some bit of wealth. For thousands of years, nobody had nothing. There was no companies, nobody had nothing. That's the way it was. You know? And now this time, is, to be honest, this is the greatest time ever as a human being to be alive, right now, right here. There's another friend of mine that came here, Owen from Ballincollig, very similar to Michael, sent us a message there a few months ago. Same thing, came to a retreat, put down on the retreat, about getting mortgage approved when he was miles away from it, about having a family, getting a partner, having a family, and there was another one as well, put pen to paper. So when you put pen to paper, it's not about the millions. If you want to put millions, don't put them down. It's about people putting down, get mortgage approved, you get a new job, get a new partner, and then you put that down pen to paper, and you leave it there. You'll be amazed. Come back in 6 months' time, a year's time. So there's a card for everyone there tonight. Some people here will go away and do it, and some people won't. It's just the way it is, right? But I can promise you one thing. You put your pen to paper tonight in this high frequency, right? Put it down. Watch the magic that will happen. So, as I said there, 3 things here. List what thoughts and feelings you would naturally match for those outcomes, what I explained there. Identify where they're not aligned currently and commit to shifting one's vibration that day. So what that means, identify where you have been before tonight. Identify if you've been from a place of lack, insecurity. You might have been in a place of positivity. Things in your life might be the best they ever are now. But identify where you are and identify the shifts you're going to make that come true. So step 4, right? To raise your vibe, right? Which is vibration. So this is a 2-minute process here, right? So we're all going to do this now together here, right? So everyone put your hand in your heart. I can this way go, right? Just put your hand in your heart and take 3 deep breaths though, through your nose though, not your mouth. Now, in your imagination, name 3 things that you're grateful for. So everyone in your imagination now, in your mind, 3 things you're grateful for. Now, think of one moment they felt powerful, that obviously, think of one moment that you felt powerful or proud in the last year. Just one moment in the last year where you felt powerful or proud or invincible or life was absolutely fantastic. Just again, if you just smile, just in your imagination, smile. And or even just in neutral, whatever you want, but for 15 seconds now, just close your eyes. Close your eyes 15 seconds. Open your eyes now. Now see that? So tell them to use this whenever they feel off track. Simple exercise. Just a 2-minute process. Do that 3 or 4 times a day. The difference it'll make in your day. So next one, I love this one. Collapse time technique. We did it briefly there a while ago. Collapse the timeline by acting as though the desire has already happened. So what that means is that if you want to be in a better relationship, as I said a while ago, the relationship's out there, you've got to believe the relationship is right now. You've got to feel it. Remember, your subconscious is the deeper part of your mind. Every species before us, that's all they had is subconscious, right? We're the first species to have a conscious mind. So we can have a thinking mind. We have 6 intellectual faculties, okay? But one of the main ones is your imagination. We have the ability to create. We have the ability to think. We have a perception. We might look at a match after Liverpool playing Man United. One person might say thought Man United were way better. The other person might thought Liverpool were way better. We have the perception. You can change your perception at any time. You can see the glass half full or half empty. We have intuition, another intellectual faculty. Go with your heart, not with your head. We have another one called will. You know, you have to get up and you have that desire to go, get up and go. Like the animal kingdom, yes, they have some intellectual faculties, they have memory and stuff like that as well, right? But not as advanced as a human being. A dog will remember his name when he's called his name. But he can't create like us. But think of it like we're creators. And we're creating through the thoughts you're thinking. Think of this like a human being is here, right? Everything is energy, right? Like this body is vibrating. If you put a microscope here, everything is vibrating, right? You have millions and millions of neurons and electrons going on in your head right now. And they're all, like you're like an electric magnetic field. They're all ever going everywhere, right? Watch this now. The energy that's coming from the cosmos. So, like, what is the cosmos? What's the energy? Not the moon, the stars, the sun, the galaxy. Who brings up the sun and down the moon? And not if the moon was, or the sun was just a small bit closer to Earth, that we'd be burnt. Do you know for millions of years, like, people couldn't live on Earth because of the temperatures, right? So, like, right now it's aligned perfectly for us to be here. Like, that's a miracle. Call it God, call it Buddha, call it something passed away. It doesn't matter what you call it. It's a power, it's an energy. People fight wars over religion. This is not religion, this is spirituality. All the great sages, Jesus, Muhammad, the whole lot, they spoke about energy, they spoke about frequency. That's what they spoke about, and it got mixed up and they fight wars over it now. It's an energy. Your subconscious is connected to that energy. That's the power within every single person. So when you start tapping into that power, tapping into that energy, Conor McGregor, say what you want about him. I don't go into doing a lot of things he's done in the last few years, right? But just go back to when he first came on the UFC. He went over to the UFC. Think about it. And he was his first thing with John Kavanagh, the first video. I own New York. He's the 2-weight world champion. They all thought he was mad. He went on to do it. So when you speak the words, you have the vision, you speak the words, law of attraction, you attract it into your lives. Like, look at when he was rising up. Who else does it brilliant? Muhammad Ali, George Foreman, Boombaye. George Foreman, you're dead. Look what he done to George Foreman. He got inside his head, took the biggest beating for 6 or 7 rounds, gassed him and took him out. But he got inside his head. He was the best at getting inside your head. Affirmations, incantations. They all understood how the subconscious worked. Coca-Cola, back in 1995, I went into Coca-Cola. In 1996, they brought us up to Dublin for some course. I didn't know what they were doing. I thought I was going up there for a drink, honestly, drink. And I thought everyone was, genuinely, I thought everyone was at this party. And I was up there with my buddy Noel Hartnett. And there was a few fellas from Dublin there. And I thought everyone was in the same as me now. And I was talking, the guy goes, what are you expecting to get out of this weekend? I goes, what? I goes, I'm up here for a drink. Anyway, he wouldn't talk to me for the weekend, right? But I thought there was something wrong with him. But we were out in the field the next day, blindfolded, and they were pushing us as if we were sheep and stuff like that. I swear to God, I goes, they were crazy. And know what they were doing? They were getting inside the subconscious. They got us to believe that Coca-Cola was good for you. I swear to God. Down the road, right, people drinking Coke and said, look at him drinking Coke. They got all of us to believe Coca-Cola was good for you. The best sales train I ever got in my life, Coca-Cola. But think of what they were doing. They knew how the subconscious worked. Advertising, why is advertising there? Repetition, 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 repetition gets into the subconscious where they're programming you. Like what's the 2 stations in the world? One thing that Trump is after doing amazing, right? He brought a guy called Bobby Kennedy. Bobby Kennedy's gone after all the pharmaceutical industry. They're taking the fluoride out of all the water in America. It's unbelievable what he's doing, right? But the pharmaceutical industry knows it's better than anybody. I said, no, flu season. It's not the only 2 places in the world that's allowed to put pharmaceutical drugs on TV. New Zealand and America. He's trying to get it banned at the moment. That's why they never wanted him in. They say he's one of the most wanted men in the world right now. He'll be taken out because he's gone against $1 billion industry. The military complex is not a huge industry. Go on all day about this stuff, right? But they know about this stuff. Why don't we know about it? Why hasn't it gone on for years? Nobody knows about it. Like, it's like, and it's been taught for thousands of years. Over in America, all the brotherhoods years ago. Like there's a fellow called, is it John Trudeau? I might have the first name wrong. But he got locked up in America. He went against the food industry. And he's out now. He got locked up in Canada. He's out now. He was involved in the brotherhood. He did a whole cassette. Kevin Trudeau, a whole cassette on teaching people all this. He's over there, all the wealthiest families in the world. They brought all their kids. They all go into these brotherhoods. No, most of the presidents of the United States came from the brotherhoods. They all taught them young about the mind, about energy, about law of attraction. That's why they call it secret the secret. But now the stuff has gone so big, it's all over the place. But it's like building a house. Like if you start with law of attraction, you're going to get it wrong. You have to start with Eckhart Tolle. You got to start with the building blocks. You got to understand how the conscious mind works. You got to understand how the subconscious mind works. You got to understand the anchor. This is a brilliant technique, right? Everyone know, right? Just be aware of your heart, just your heart, and now be aware your legs are on the ground. Just your awareness now. So keep your legs on the ground, right? Watch this now. So watch this now. So Brooke, your legs on the ground, right? What are you thinking about now? Your legs on the ground? But watch it, right? Well, seriously though, right? When you just be aware your legs on the ground, right? Think about it. What are you thinking about now? Your legs on the ground. Watch this now. You just created a gap in between the stream of your thoughts. Now look at the piece in the room, right? You know, just got to get it. Every time you bring your attention away from your head into your body, you create a gap in between the stream of your thoughts. Every time you create a gap in between the stream of your thoughts, that's where your life is. That's where love, peace, happiness and joy is. When you create the gaps. When you were a kid, you lived completely with gaps in between the stream of your thoughts. That's why life was spontaneous. That's why you didn't look at your friend at 2 years of age and judge him or judge her. You're just free. You're free. So when you create gaps, you're free. When I used to take a substance before, I was getting it there. When your kid scores a goal in the last second, you're free. Liverpool scores, Man United scores, you're free. You get these moments, but we don't understand them. They're called gaps in between the stream of your thoughts. You get a job promotion, you know, you're buzzing, then you're back to yourself again. But you can get it just by being aware of your inner energy field. When you're aware of your inner energy field, there's gaps arise in the stream of your thoughts. What happens, them gaps at the start are only 2 or 3 seconds. Then they go to 10, 15 seconds. Then they go to 2 or 3 minutes. Then they go to 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And then when you put 10 minutes, every thought that comes, you see it. Like it's like if you're involved in martial arts, we say, and at the start, if you're sparring someone who's very experienced, obviously he's going to see everything coming. You're not going to have a chance. But then after a while, when you get clever yourself, it's like the thought coming. You actually spot it coming. It's like the Matrix, like slow motion. So thoughts come, right? You don't play the story of the thoughts anymore. You're just free. You're just free. And what happens now you're in control. And then what happens then, thoughts will come back in and you play the story again. Then every time you realize thoughts came back in, you're back present again. It's like a ping pong ball at the start. With practice over time, the gaps get wider and wider and wider. And that's where true freedom is. So collapse the timeline by acting as though the desire has already happened. If it was already done, so if your goal was already done right now, whatever you wanted to achieve was already done, what would I stop worrying about? Think about it. If you had that goal, that big goal, is it a financial goal, a relationship goal, a health goal? What would you stop worrying about? So what's blocking you from getting it? Stress, worry, anxiety. What's the opposite to fear? Faith. Remember when I was in recovery, I was on the program with my sponsor and I was full of fear. And I didn't even understand how to get the faith. Like, how do I get the faith? How do I get there? I was all this fear. But you know what? It takes time. Rome wasn't built in a day. It's building blocks, you know. It's again, I have to put a lot of like positive stuff back in the body. It's like a garden. If you were a garden and you water it every day, what happened? The garden would grow and it would flourish. But once you don't water it, it would rotten away. Think of your body like that. If you don't look after your body with good thoughts and good feelings, your body over time will deteriorate and your body will wither away in you. Like every single sickness in the world right now this is the science being done now, starts with negativity. Then eventually there's a physical manifestation. So when you get up in the morning, and everything you don't accept, even when you were 2 or 3 years of age, things you can't remember, it hangs onto your body, and that's a bit of negative energy. And every time you don't accept something, it hangs onto your body. So how do you dissolve it off your body? By starting to fall in love with the present moment. Acceptance is the key to freedom. Meditation. And when you start feeling good, when you're feeling good and you're feeling alive, what happens? Abraham Hicks calls it, you're going upstream now. You're actually free. So the whole universe is telling you how you are by the way you feel. So when you feel good, when you feel free, when you feel frisky, you're actually in alignment with the universe. Now when you feel off and you feel lethargic, you're actually gone off stream. You're actually not in alignment with the universe. So the universe is telling you, come back in sync here. Come back in sync. And when you're back in sync, then you're feeling good again. You're feeling alive. So what would I stop? What would I stop waiting for permission to do? Just think of that, you know. What would I stop waiting for permission to do? So whatever you want, what would you stop? So next one, future emotional state activation. Imagine it's already yours. You're living that moment. What does your body feel like? Where do you feel it? How do you walk into a room now? How do you speak? Feel the gratitude and certainty in every cell. So think about it. If you had what you want, right? And it could be confidence. It could be just to feel better in yourself. Everything might be going fantastic. But if you had what you want, what way would you be? What way would you feel inside? Would you feel alive? Would you feel more juicy? What way life would be? You'd feel fantastic. That's the way you got to do. Neville Goddard said it. Feeling is the secret. He said another word for imagination is God. Look him up on Instagram, Neville Goddard. He's absolutely amazing, right? But like he says, feeling is the secret. Feeling is everything. And then when you mix your imagination, what happens when you have a thought and you put emotion to it, that's where the energy comes from. So when you put emotion to thought, that's where the fireworks come from. So when we do our goals or dreams at retreats, we actually shock the subconscious. The 3 ways to get through to the subconscious is 1, is the story you tell yourself. 2 is affirmation. Incantations, I am good, I'm going to have a good life. And 3 is shock. So when you put something in and you have a goal, then you shock it in. And when you shock it in, you're actually shouting it in. You're actually screaming your goal in. And when you scream your goal in and shout your goal in, your subconscious takes a new picture and that's your new paradigm. Another word for paradigm is program. Bob Proctor calls it paradigm. If you want the best explanation of this, go on to Bob Proctor on YouTube. All this stuff is there freely. He explains this unbelievably. He has about 10, 15 different presentations on it. He passed away there recently. I was fortunate enough to go to a few of his seminars and meet him in person, go for breakfast and stuff with him. And this guy's teaching this stuff for so many years. So like it's been taught for thousands and thousands of years. But lately, for whatever reason, it's really starting to explode across the world. It's crazy, you know. I really don't know how, when you put pen to paper, how it works. No one knows how the energy and how it all that comes together. Nobody knows in the world. Because nobody can explain consciousness fully. You can't explain it. It's the energy, we're all a part of this energy. And it's an energy field. And we're all vibrating, we're all on a frequency. And what happens is that when you touch into that energy, and you start writing in that high frequency, and you start having these visions, and these visions, another brilliant way is when you go to bed at night, put on a phone and put on airplane mode, and you can play like say, the last 2 hours of a Joe Dispenza or seminar or music, you're going off to bed. You know when you go off to bed, you're going off to bed in theta frequency. So when you go off to bed and you have a negative thought, you're sleeping with that thought for the next 8 hours. So then, do you know then when you go off to bed, and like I gave an exercise there on Instagram there a few weeks ago. It was a 30-day exercise, and a few people done it and came back to me and they got amazing results. Like, you know, and what it was is this, right? And I give everyone this challenge again tonight, and I'm going to share one person there who won't mind me saying tonight the results he got with it, right? It was actually Nicola's husband, Kevin, right? And so what the exercise is this, right? So for the next 30 days, the last 10 minutes before you go to sleep, lay down in bed, put away the phone. 10 minutes you have to stay in bed now, just lay down. Go over your day, right? And go, yeah, I got up 9 o'clock. Yeah, I gave out to the kids, or I did this wrong, or and then you go, what you done right? Yeah, I did that. So what you done wrong and right for the whole day. Right? Be honest with yourself. Then you replay the whole day as if the way you wanted it to be, as if your wishful day. Okay? Then you go into tomorrow, and you just like whatever way you want to happen tomorrow. You're going to get up, there's going to be a lot of opportunities, work is going to come in the door, everything's going to happen, right? Do that for 30 days and report back to me. Kevin was doing it, right? And he set up a new business there, and it's actually doing very well. Fionn just actually finished the website there this week for him there. And what happened then, he started doing this every night, and he came back to me today, he goes, I swear, he goes, I don't know if it's a coincidence now, he says, but my phone is hopping, I'm up at the walls, I can't believe it. I was, Kevin, that's how it works, like. I know, and you know what, and like, he's been at retreats and seminars and all that, and I'm the same, now when I see you working myself, I'm saying, Jesus, like, your mind will always tell you it's a coincidence. You know, I'm after seeing so much of this over the years, you can't tell me this stuff don't work. Like I told you the story a while ago when I lost everything, so I always like to be on the floor. I remember a few years ago when I lost everything and I was on the floor, and people said to me, how did you come back? Because 5% of the day I believed I was financially free. I was on the social welfare. 95% of the day I'd build a home, I couldn't handle it. Then 10% of the day I believed I was fancy free. So I started building up to it. Then 30% of the day, then I started getting myself going. Then I started getting opportunities, and then I started going for it. Remember one lady rang me there from Thailand, Yok, and I travelled all over Thailand, barely enough for a flight to get there. Then I went to Bangladesh to meet another person, and I was travelling all over the world doing all these things and putting up pictures on Facebook. I didn't grow up with social media. My first ever post was 2015. Didn't grow up on it, didn't know much about it, but I just learned about it. You know what I mean? My biggest resentment years ago was Ireland, for what happened to me. Ireland was my resentment. So I know what it's like to wake up and be angry at the world and be angry at this country and don't like everybody for what happened to me. Victim, victim, victim. I was like that for a long time. It took one man to come into my house and he looked at me and he says, keep your head up. He goes, what I saw, he says, in you, I didn't see anyone doing it in 40 years of my career. At that time I thought I was useless. I believed what people were saying about me. See, I got caught up in my head and what people were saying, I started to believe in it. And I was doing all this stuff for years, but I got caught up in the program, got caught up in what the story. So I know what I was like to get caught up in the story. And he says, do you know what? I'm going to go for it. You know what? I'm going to do it outside of this country. I'm not doing anything in Ireland ever again. And I got on and somebody said to me, how are you going to do it? I said, I don't know. And that brings me to the story. A man came in the room there a while ago. He goes, hi, Paul. I said, how are you getting on? He goes, you don't know me, no, you can't remember me. And I goes, your face is familiar. And he goes, remember Pat Corwin? I go, oh God, I have, you know. But listen to this story. I met this lovely gentleman back in 2010. And now a few months before I met this man, I got involved in a company called Synergy Worldwide, a health product. They sell a product called Allergen. Back then, people told me Allergen wasn't good for you. Allergen is the most sold product right now in Sam McCauley's. It's called Revive Active, right? So I was selling that product for a company called Synergy Worldwide. And it was a networking company. I knew nothing about networking. Anyway, I started doing it, whatever, and I got a few awards for doing it. But I was having these meetings and trying to get things off the ground. I was having meetings where 5 people turn up, 10 people turn up. I was trying everything and you know what, momentum, but you know what, I kept on trying. I was a bit of a tryer. Next thing anyway, I get a phone call. The boy who brought me into the business gave my number to somebody else. And he rang me 6 weeks every single day to look at a 7-minute video. I wouldn't look at the video. I thought I hadn't got time because I was too busy. I was doing my own work and I was getting involved in this. And I also went into my first ever business in a tire company. I knew nothing about tires, right? So I had a lot going on. And next thing, he kept on ringing me every day. He rang me for 6 weeks. I goes, I haven't got time to look at the video, just show me. He showed me a 7-minute video, and nearly fell off the seat. Goes, whoa. I turned up in Silver Springs. There was this guy called Pat Corwin up speaking, a farmer. And he goes, if I can do it, anyone can do it. But the guy came in from Canada and spoke. And know what? The speech, he had 300 people in the room. The speech changed my life. You know what I mean? And then what happened then? I went down this industry and I went again, ups and downs, ins and outs. But I'm saying, when I came back, when my back was to the wall, that's when you got to believe in yourself. Because sometimes your back's going to be to the wall. I listened to too much noise, and then I put all these tools into practice. And then I took massive action, intuition took on, I took chances, and then I went on in that industry to go #1 in the world, in a $1 billion industry, 2 years in a row. And that's another story, right? It's not egotistical, I'm just saying what happened. I went from nothing all the way to that, traveled all over the world, did world tours for 4 years, back to back every single 2 weeks. I was on stage with some of the biggest names in the world, the biggest oil importer in the world, the vice president of all of our commercials, the St. Luke's, the PR marketing from behind Heineken. The story goes on and on, right? I don't share much, but it goes on and on. But I did all that from nothing. Like I didn't get a third level education, I didn't get the opportunity, I didn't get the points. I came from a place I wasn't meant to succeed, but because I learned all this, because I went into recovery, my journey started in recovery. I was a fellowship with Alcoholics Anonymous. I never break anyone else's element here, I don't mind break my own. But they got me to kind of just talk in a group, talk and started saying my name. And my confidence built. Then I came across the power now. Then in 2009, I went to meet Steve McGowan. I was open to go to a seminar up in Limerick. Sat down in the seminar, heard this fella from the north of Ireland. He looked about 2. I said, how's he going to control him? He started speaking about thoughts and things and this and that. I goes, whoa, he's crazy. And I goes, if this stuff is true, I'm going to make a fortune. You know? And I did, ups and downs, made it, lost it. Crazy life. And the journey still goes on. But the thing I'm saying is, right, you can be or do have anything. Abraham Hicks wrote a whole book and it's called Ask and It Is Given. It's all the powers within you. But you got to believe in yourself. You got to believe in it. I'm not saying you're going to travel the world or whatever. If you want to do that. But I'm just saying, get up in the morning and try your best. Get up in the morning, go to that door and be a better person. Because that's what life's all about. That's what it's all about. And whatever your goals is your goals. They're personal to you. Your goals are going to be different from my goals. We're all different. If we all have the same goals, it'd be boring. But go and do it. So the next one here, right? Motivated action pledge, right? So this is a very good one, right? It's the last one, right? So what is one bold action this version of you would take in the next 24 hours? Pause on that now a second. So what's one big thing that you're going to do in the next 24 hours, an action step towards your goal? Now, obviously, this is a retreat. You'd have them write it down and turn to someone near them to speak it aloud. Public commitment locks it in. I'm not asking you to do that tonight, but I'm just saying it does. It's very important, right, when you're doing this stuff. If you have 2 or 3 people that you can resonate with and share your goals and dream with, very, very important. Because when you speak it out, that's where the power is. When 2 people together, there's a 3rd person there. And that's the power, that's the energy. And you can call that energy whatever you want. Some people call it Buddha, God, it doesn't matter. Someone who passed away, it's a higher power. That power that runs the world, that's there. And when you start touching into that power yourself, that's where the magic is. Again, like, watch this now again. Beware the silence now again in the room. What's this now that you can taste in your heart? Everyone in this room can taste this right now. And be comfortable in the uncomfortable. Be comfortable in the silence. And you can practice this now yourself tomorrow, the day after, the day after. Someone asked me there as well, will I go in the break about the retreat? Is there a space? This retreat's full, right? It's sold out, right? But if you want to put your name on the cancellations, you can. And talk to Yvonne after and put it down, right? And who knows, right? We had people before, people pulled out and people got in, right? But obviously, put your name down, and if you get on it, you get on it, right? It's in what day is Yvonne? May the 5th, is it?
5th of the 8th of June.
Of June.
Yeah.
So the 5th to the 8th of June, right? And if you don't get on this one, look out for people like Joe Dispenza. Look out for people that are active doing it. Tony Robbins, Stevie McGowan, there's loads of people doing them, right? But go to them, you know. Like, the most sought after person right now in the world is Joe Dispenza. So what I'm going to do now, right? We're coming to the end now of the seminar, right? What I'm going to do now, right? I'm going to show you one technique, right? I don't think I explained this one in a while, right? We touched off a while ago, right? It's called the pain body. Okay? So what is the pain body? Since the day you were born, every single negative emotion every single negative emotion that came that you didn't accept, like say when you were 1 even, you might have saw your parents arguing. You can't even remember that. But every situation that you didn't accept is stuck onto your body. It's an invisible energy field on your body tonight. So as you go through life, you might have got bullied, you might have lost a lot of money, you might have grown up in poverty, whatever it is, right, that you didn't accept is on your body tonight. So how do you know what it is? Let's say someone sends you a nasty text message after. You know that anger, that red mist, or somebody beeps the horn at you. That's your pain body, right? Some people are very active pain bodies, they're very aggressive. Other people, I don't know trouble, it's the same thing. It's your pain body. That's called karma, okay? So when you come into this world, right, you come in, your job is to dissolve the karma. But what happens, a lot of us, that's why they say we get grumpy with the old age, we actually bring more and more karma on. Every time you don't accept the present moment, you're bringing more karma onto your body. And as you bring more and more karma onto your body, what happens is you're actually getting your way down with life. You're way down with life. And what happens then, that's what Austin always says on retreats, he said, leave the bags of shit at home. Because what happens, the bags weigh you down. And it's just called, it's life. And that's what happens then. That's why then when newborns come into the world, they actually balance the energy. So people come in and people go, right? They balance the energy. That's when you look at a newborn child. Do you ever look at a newborn child and say, you're one ugly mutt? You know, why? Because they're pure. They're so pure, there's no ego, there's just love. There's just love there, because there's no personality, there's just pure love. When you look at a pet, that's if you love pets, there's no ego there. So that's when newborns come into the world, they balance out the energy of the planet. Like before 1980, right? The frequency of the world is called calibration, Dr. Hawkins says, was less than 200. So when you're less than 200, what it means is fear, lack. But then what happens, the calibration lifts. That's why people love singing. Why do you love singing? Because singing is a 4th dimension. When people sing, it lifts spirits. When you're at a seminar here now, right, you're actually calibrating at a way higher level. So when you leave and you're feeling way better, that means you got up to about 400 or 500 calibration. But what happens then? You come back down again for life. So the cat is up like that, but then the more you do this, you stabilize at a higher level. It's like the market, you go up and down, then you stabilize at a higher level. And like say when you look back 5 years ago, if you're around this information, you probably had a better frequency now overall. But there was many ups and downs, peaks and troughs. So your goal in life is to keep on raising your calibration. It's called raising your frequency. And what happens when you raise your frequency, you're accepting the present moment. When you accept the present moment, you're dissolving your karma. Then what happens, right? I always share the story. Steve, 2 weeks young fella, Greg, he was 18 years of age, came to a seminar. So what happened? I was teaching the pain body. So no, this is what you're probably asking. All right, Paul, you're teaching the pain body. How do I dissolve it? So let's say now, someone says something to me, and you lose the head. You lose the head with them. You get angry with them. That means you're down one little, say, you're down one little. Next thing, someone says something tomorrow to you, and next thing, you're getting irritated, but what happens then, right? Someone will say something to you, you'll catch it. The minute you shine the awareness on the pain body, you can't react. You can't react. So next thing, someone will say something to you, and next thing, you're aware of it. Next thing, someone will say something to you, and you might react again a bit to it. But with practice, right, you're going to catch it. Next thing, this has saved me so many arguments, so in personal life and in business, because I was a very reactive person, and I let myself down a lot of times in business, and I could be doing a business deal for months, and I could leave myself down with my anger. So what happens, right, when someone says something to you, right, and you don't like it, right, just bring your awareness to the pain body. When you bring your awareness to the pain body, what happens, right, it just stops. And then with practice over time, what happens is that you become in control of your pain body. And when you're in control of your pain body, then you're not reacting anymore. Then, fast forward a few weeks, your frequency might drop, you might be caught off guard, someone says something, what do you mean? And you lose again, just go, that's my pain. And then the minute you bring your awareness back to it, what happens then? It drops off. And every time you bring awareness to the pain body, what happens? You're actually dissolving your karma. You're dissolving all the trauma that happened to you all through the years. That's why meditation tonight, you're actually dissolving trauma that could happen to you 20, 30 years ago. Sometimes you leave meditation, go, oh my God, I feel like a new person. That's when you leave a seminar after 2.5 hours, you're going to leave out that room, you're going to, you know what, I feel way fresh and way more relaxed. You're dissolving all the past that's been on your body for all these years. So you could be carrying something tonight for the last 20 or 30 years, and what happens? It's gone off your body tonight, and you might even be aware it's gone off your body. That's when you go into a retreat. That's why Joe Dispenza extended his retreats from 3 days to 7 days, because he scans everybody who comes at the start of a retreat, and he saw all the big breakthroughs were coming from 3 days in. It takes the first 1 or 2 days for people to relax. The guard goes up, because obviously you're in 2,000 or 3,000 people, and then what happens when the guard goes down, the breakthroughs come. Like we were at one retreat, our longest ever breakthrough, only ever happened once. It was the third day a breakthrough came. Most of the breakthroughs come in the retreat on the second day. You see people out in the woods, and you see going, the third day we normally go down to the beach, you know, we get out in a lot of nature, you know, but people break. I mean, about people now like who are crumbling inside, carrying stuff for life, and next thing you see them and breaking out, and you see them talking, and you see them being free, and you see how fresh they are. And it doesn't matter like if someone's on the social welfare or a multi-millionaire. Everyone have the same stuff going on in their head, it doesn't matter, like, you know. But like that's what this stuff's all about. And just before we finish up, guys, you know, putting this together, guys, and putting these nights on, you know, like I'm up here just delivering. There's a team behind us doing all this, you know. Sinead's there on social media, and Fionn did a lot of work in the background there, you know, and putting all this together, the content that goes out, the interviews. There was a brilliant one the other day. I know Jackie's family's in the audience tonight, you know. She had a powerful one there on Instagram, you know. Amazing person. She came to a retreat there a few years ago, like, and is it 9 stone she lost? Is it 9 stone she lost, you know? And I remember speaking up in that retreat, you know, and the way she was herself and her mental state, and you know, and she went back, you know, and you know, she surprised all of us, you know. She came to a retreat there a few months later. I barely recognised her coming in the door, truthfully, like, you know, and amazing stuff. John S did one the other day, that'll be out soon. So there's a lot of stuff goes in the background, you know, to make this happen. And also, without my sister Yvonne there, like, you know, she's the main rock behind the whole thing, you know. Without her, I wouldn't even be doing Hello, My Friend, you know. So big thanks to the whole team, and everyone else. There's loads of other people as well help out in the background, you know. But thanks to everyone, it means a lot. As I said a while ago, like, you know, I know different than anyone else. I've been through a very tough time in my life. Like everybody else, it's life, you know. But you know what, the main thing is we don't give up, we keep going and stay committed. So with that, I wish everyone the best. Thank you.